Good morning, and thank you for being here. And a special thanks to our partners at the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, the Retail Council of Canada, and Ontario's Workplace Safety and Prevention Services for joining us here at Police Headquarters. As part of Small Business Week, the Toronto Police Service is pleased to host this event and to partner in the launch of the Retail Safety and Security Guide, a resource we believe will greatly benefit businesses here in Toronto and across Ontario. The guide is designed to assist businesses in creating safer spaces for employees and customers by helping to reduce and prevent criminal activity, and by offering guidance on how to respond to emergent situations that may occur within a retail business establishment. As with all forms of crime, including those directed at our retail business sector, the ultimate goal is prevention. Crime prevention is a shared responsibility, and we're proud of the collaboration that made this resource a reality for our retailers. The guide reflects our collective commitment to the safety and security of those in the retail sector, as well as to community members who visit our retail establishments. I want to recognize our community partnerships and engagement unit, with special thanks to Sergeant Wendy Drummond and PC Arjinder Gill. This represents another example of our service's commitment to community-based partnerships aimed at making our city as safe as it can be. Once again, thank you to the Retail Council of Canada, the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, and Ontario's Workplace Safety and Prevention Services for their partnership in getting us to today's announcement. I'd now like to turn it over to Paul Pedersen, Executive Director of the OACP. Paul.
Thank you very much, and good morning. I too am really pleased to have the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, Ontario's police leaders, about this growing challenge that impacts all of us, retail crime. In Ontario, we have witnessed an increase in retail theft, fraud, vandalism, and crime that affects not only businesses, but also consumers. As this trend continues, it becomes more evident that police cannot do it all ourselves. Collaboration between law enforcement, between businesses and consumers is critical to making our communities safer and more prosperous. That's why I'm truly proud to be here on behalf of the OACP and be joined by our partners already mentioned, the Retail Council of Canada, Workplace Safety Prevention Services, and Toronto Police, and in fact, all police services across the province, to launch this brand new resource that assists businesses of all sizes prevent and reduce retail crime. We understand that businesses are prosperous and are the economic engines of our communities. Safe workplaces enable thousands of Ontarians to work in workplaces that protect them and their livelihoods and ensure that they get home to their families safely. For businesses, retail crime results in significant financial loss, which ultimately affects pricing, employee security, and even the local economy. But beyond the immediate losses, these crimes undermine trust in our communities. To combat that, businesses need to work hand in hand with law enforcement by sharing information, reporting incidents promptly, and adopting the crime prevention measures such as surveillance and security protocols as outlined. At the same time, consumers play an equally important role. As shoppers, we are the eyes and ears on the ground. Reporting suspicious activities, spreading awareness, and fostering a community-driven approach to safety can go a long way in determining criminal activities. When citizens and businesses support police efforts, it helps officers focus their resources effectively, leading to faster response times and better overall protection. Our message is clear. Combating retail crime in Ontario requires a united front. Police, businesses, and consumers must collaborate, share intelligence, and build a culture of mutual trust and vigilance. By doing so, we can reduce crime, improve community safety, and ensure that our local businesses thrive. You have the commitment of Ontario's police leaders that we will stand with Ontario businesses and consumers to keep businesses and workers safe. Together, we are building a stronger and safer Ontario. Thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to Rui.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate Good morning, everyone. So my name is Rui Rodriguez. I'm here on behalf of Retail Council of Canada. Again, I want to thank my partners that are here in Workplace Safety, OACP, Toronto, for their help in this guide. A little background, retail crime certainly is on the rise, and RCC represents retailers from across the country. One of our biggest objectives, and when we talk about community safety, is the protection of the employees, the customers that shop in our retail storefronts across the country. Shoplifting is an issue that it will always be around. Theft occurs. We're seeing an increase for certain. More importantly, we see an increase of aggravated assaults, weapons being utilized, people not feeling safe going to brick and mortar stores in every community across Canada. We represent retailers from all sizes and sectors, and we have an advisory committee that gets together and discusses the issues facing their locations. I'm very proud to say, as much as retailers focus on their losses, of course, retailers came together 2 years ago and said very clearly, we need to work together to collaborate with our partners to do things that help businesses across the country. This is an example of that. I want to thank Safe Work Manitoba, who started this work with us almost 2 years ago to start the initial guide. I also want to thank Toronto Police for contributing additional information so we can continue to improve the guide. The guide is not a one-stop shop in our ability to say to small businesses, we're done helping you by any means. There are many other things we continue to work together, but this is a way for experts to respond to small businesses who are asking and may not have the resources of some bigger companies with support and internal people to help them with their security measures, with safety measures. So this is an effort of those bigger organizations, our partners coming together with their expertise and providing guidance, information that others can utilize around the basic things they deal with, whether it's shoplifting, robbery, assault, break and enters, how to assess your location. Very proud that one of the things that is in there is a crime prevention through environmental design checklist, meaning every business can go through and look at how are we protecting ourselves and target hardening against crime. What are things we can do for ourselves? It's all great to call police when you're in trouble, but there's some responsibility to make sure you're doing things for yourself as well. It's one of the things that I believe is not utilized well enough to assess your own business. And Toronto Police is more than happy. They have officers that have planned appropriately. An officer can go out to a business location and provide them some guidance by going through that checklist. And it's important businesses know those tools are out there. So I'm very proud of the efforts being put together. More importantly, I'm very proud of the collaboration we're seeing across the country with great partners to come to the table, do what we can immediately, short term, to get some help out there while we focus on some of the bigger goals of dealing with the increase of crime, theft, losses, violence, organized retail crime that we're seeing, and we are committed to continue to do that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jody from Workplace Safety to speak.
Thank you, Rui, and good morning. Today we gather to address a pressing concern that extends beyond the boundaries of our retail spaces into the very lives of Ontario workers: workplace violence. The Retail Safety and Security Guide is not merely a set of procedures. It's a commitment to the well-being of every individual who steps into Ontario stores. The toolkit is a proactive measure against the rising tide of retail violence. It serves as a beacon of safety, guiding retailers to safeguard their employees against potential harm. The guide provides practical strategies and best practices for retailers to enhance their safety and security measures and is a testament to WSPS's dedication to creating a secure and healthy and safe work environment. Our priority is the health and safety of Ontario workers. This toolkit embodies our resolve to protect them from workplace violence and ensure their well-being. We are honored to collaborate on this initiative and enhance the focus on safety of retail employees. We are not just preventing crime, we are fostering a culture of care and security that resonates throughout our communities. Thank you to our collaboration with our partners for making Ontario workplaces safer.
The speakers now will take your questions. Please identify who your question is directed at.
Question for Paul. Just wondering, you mentioned that the numbers show that assaults, robberies, those kinds of things are up. Any indication why that is?
I mean, that's a very deep question, a good question. Why are we seeing more violence in community? Why is violent crime up all over? There is a general lack of civility between people now that we're seeing in our communities that is showing up all over our communities in violence and acts of violence, and we see that in the retail business as well.
And that's the follow-up question. If I'm a retail owner, I get the guide, I understand you're suggesting things that I could do to make it safer. What is law enforcement doing to address this problem?
Well, one of the things that people don't generally know is that law enforcement can do the preventative work in the beginning. We can work hand in hand with any individual detailer and customize CPTED to try and prevent the crime before it happens. When it does happen, of course, we say call us and we'll investigate and prosecute as appropriate.
I would like to add something to that, if you don't mind. One of the things that we didn't speak about, but there's a lot of collaborative efforts happening across the country with law enforcement to help retailers. We launched a retail Blitz program 2 years ago where we work with police services across the country to identify the worst areas where we're seeing the violence, the organized crime, and we work with the police services to target those areas. We do it during specific times of year, so we will have our next retail Blitz is December 1st to the 21st. That's with police services across the country, including Toronto and several in Ontario, where the retailers provide information on the areas they want to target and police will support during those specific times. Resources are tough to come by, so we continue to look at ways where we can focus on the retail crime, organized retail crime, and work together. So I would say a lot of work yet to be done, because the flip side of that is when police resources are called upon to help, other things will happen that may be more concerning, more urgent than what is happening at that moment. So police will get pulled, and we understand that. But we see much more collaboration when we reach out to police services, OACP, the CACP, and ask for those interventions. The flip side of that is the prosecutions still have to come, right? There's a difference between a shoplifter who steals an item or two and his first-time offense and somebody who does it for a career and is being treated like a first-time offender. We need to see a higher degree of infractions, criminal code amendments, and change to recognize that somebody who's a violent, repeat, prolific offender and has been through the courts 30, 40 times shouldn't be released to their own recognizance every single time. That is work that is harder to do, and we're working on it, and it is with the partnerships with the SOLGEN, with police services, to try to look at ways we can improve upon that.
Is there more than just shoplifting? I mean, there are larger thefts, organized thefts, more violent thefts. I mean, we're not just talking about people who walk in and sticking something in their purse.
Yeah, and that's the biggest concern for retailers. It's not the shoplifting per se. It is the violent shoplifting that's impacting their employees, and we see more employees off on leave as a result of assaults or crimes that have occurred. And it is the organized retail crime that is happening. Many more illicit markets are available now than were before 2019, and we know of it based on the cases we work with police services. But it's also, there's so many ways you can distribute goods now through online marketplaces. So you have people that will literally put in orders for stolen goods to sell them through these online marketplaces, and it's hard to distinguish between legitimate and illegitimate marketplaces. So one of the things we did, and we do with Toronto Crime Stoppers, the It Costs Us All campaign, is also public awareness. If you're buying goods online and you're paying $500 for a drill that's normally $1,500, buyer beware. It likely is coming from nefarious means, and the consumers also have to be somewhat responsible for that. But these are efforts that are, you know, your question about collaborating with police. I can say, compared to 2 years ago, much more collaboration and work together. We're seeing more of crowns coming on board to look at the crimes in a different way. So it isn't dealt with like a shoplifting. It is dealt with, this person's been before us 30 times. We've tried diversion, we've tried this, we tried that. Now we need to look at it a different way. And we continue to try to do that work to bring more severe consequences to the organized retail crime groups and the violent criminals.
Which types of retailers are being targeted most often these days?
Everyone. You know, people like to put their lists out of what is most in favor and what the criminals prefer. It's whatever people want, right? So you can always look at If you have retailers that have a lot of storefronts, you might see grocery, for example, gets targeted a lot. Well, there's a lot of grocery chains. Pharma gets targeted a lot from pharmaceuticals and things, but everybody is facing it because through the illicit marketplace, if you need something and you go on an online market and you want to buy there, the organized retail criminals will go to the corner and ask somebody to go steal it so they can get it and sell it to you. So again, that consumer awareness is critical because there's so many more ways. Before you had a fence location, brick and mortars where stolen good was. Now it's online. The criminals hide and they prey upon other people to do the stealing for them.
It's a question for the staff superintendent. I'm just wondering if you could put a number to, or a statistic to this rise in crime, in this kind of crime that we're seeing in retail crime.
Sure. Yeah, I can, obviously, this is something that we're looking at for Ontario-wide. I can speak specifically to the City of Toronto. We have seen fairly consistent numbers with respect to things like fraud, break-and-enters, robberies, but we have seen a significant increase in theft occurrences specific to commercial theft, so theft unders and theft overs. And so really it's our hope that by providing this guide proactively, the reality is we've been doing this type of work for many years, whether it's through our community partnerships unit, our crime prevention officers, our neighborhood officers. We've been giving this information, but too often it's after somebody's been victimized. And really the beauty of this guide is that by providing it proactively, everybody will have the same information with the ability to target harden and make their business less attractive to the criminals who would want to target them.
And is there any sort of seasonal component? Obviously, you know, you've seen it in recent months, but we're getting closer to the holiday season. Does that tie in at all?
We do tend to see increases in thefts, retail thefts around the holiday seasons, that's for sure, but I don't have those stats in front of me.
One more question? Maybe is there anything to be said about, you know, the increase in I don't know, how violent these thefts can get?
Yeah, well, a theft with violence is a robbery. And as I say, our numbers have been fairly consistent when it comes to retail robberies, but by the same token, we're looking at around 500 a year. So that's a big number. That's obviously completely unacceptable. And it's something that we're constantly looking to improve upon. And this partnership and this guide is, again, something that will hopefully allow us to bring those numbers down.
Seeing any swarming?
Oh, sorry?
Swarming. It's happening in the United Kingdom, places like that, but a whole bunch of school kids go into a particular store.
Yeah, we haven't seen, I haven't seen a lot of that. I don't know if anyone else wants to make some comments on that. Go ahead, Richard.
So I would say we don't see it to the level that we see reported in other countries. We've had some, there have been some retail types that we've seen a higher degree of incidents, like luxury. Those are all in the media, where 4 or 5 individuals are going in, but we don't really see the examples of 80, 90 people targeting. Those have been very few that have come to our attention anywhere across the country.
Thank you very much, everyone. This concludes our news conference for the day. Please be advised the news release is available online. Thank you very much.